All right, joking aside, we have a couple of things to discuss here. To ice teaser, what I want to mention here, why you gotta act like you already lost the series before it even started. Have you not been watching this series? Are you new? And now, Tugi's geography lesson of the week. Anaheim is south of Oakland. I disagree that we were only one elite shooter away from winning a cup. We have plenty of players who are more than capable of scoring goals, but unfortunately, they decided that they didn't want to play to that level. Let's look at Luke Baldwin, for example, an elite playmaker who would always score more goals than put up assists. It's just kind of unlucky, more than anything. All of that randomness aside brings us to this. Welcome, guys, to another episode of my California Golden Seals Draft to Glory Franchise Mode series. In the last episode, we lost to the Anaheim Ducks in the first round, and that has led us to this, where I don't know exactly what's going to happen. Needless to say, there's a lot that could happen in terms of who leaves this team, what the draft looks like, what this team looks like heading into next year. It's all a wait and see kind of deal, because as far as how this all plays out, who the hell knows? Whether or not trading is going to be a factor into this, it was a topic of conversation. The only way I'm making trades is the 7th round pick exchange with the player included just to get rid of them. I am not going to be trading for other players. I'm not going to be trading for the best individual picks in a 1-for-1 trade. I'm not going to do that. We're going to keep this strict to just building through the draft. And obviously, it sucks that we're at this point where we have to look to move on from some of these core members of the team. But it's better to do it now as, oh my god, we just won the Calder Cup. What? I forgot we were even in the playoffs. Are you serious? You know what? No, this series can no longer be deemed a failure. If you have watched every Draft to Glory series, you know how goddamn rare it is. We just won the Calder Cup and I wasn't even paying attention. That is incredible, and that's also what happens when you, of course, have to go about 3 days between recording videos. On occasion, you can forget that your AHL team's still in the playoffs. The North Bay Doolin Narwhals are champions here, folks. They managed to outlast the Binghamton Devils in 4 games. They swept the Laval Rockets. They were able to sweep the Bridgeport Sound Tigers as well, and reverse swept the Manitoba Moose. I would love to record this intro, but there's a chance that they wouldn't win. So I'd love to follow along with that journey, but you know what? That's good enough for me. The North Bay Doolin Narwhals are Calder Cup champions after reverse sweeping the Manitoba Moose. And maybe, just maybe, that is the sign that we needed that it's okay to take a step back right now, to look to rebuild and retool a little bit, because we do have some talent, even if, well, then again, Gregory Cox might actually be a member of that. Oh my god, though. I wish those were his real stats, but still, 25 points, 18 points for Svoboda, and the big thing, Stu Crabbe, who may be our backup goalie next year at the NHL level, had a phenomenal postseason. So maybe that is the optimism that we needed. And again, you can look at what our team did, with what the Seals did in the playoffs. I mean, it came down to some poor goaltending with Iliakis, a lack of effort from defensemen, mainly a $15 million, I believe it was, Josiah Niedermeyer, who did nothing. Forward-wise, some players showed up like we needed them to in terms of point totals. Nazarov, though, if we're going to be looking at giving you like $7 to $8 million bucks, as he's looking to leave us an RFA, 3 points wasn't enough. Fragapani, 2 points. I mean, Steve Croak had 1 point. We know why this team failed, and it was another instance of it not just being one thing, despite the team being fairly well-rounded. That said, let's take a look at the awards here before we get into the whole retirement thing. I cannot believe North Bay just won. That is hilarious to me. The Tampa Bay Lightning took home the Stanley Cup in terms of player awards. Blatter and Ottawa won the Art Ross
Oscar Weinhandel won the Hart, which isn't surprising. Roy Engel in San Jose took home his third Norris in 5 years. Lady Byng went to Klein. Calvasari won the Calder in St. Louis. Voloshenko the Conn Smythe in Tampa. I believe that's Eli Maroon. The season after, we get rid of the man that we kept in favor of not drafting Eli Maroon. That being Brock Sestito, of course. Eli Maroon wins the Vezina. Granted, he did it 4 years after Sestito, but still he won a Vezina. Beck wins the Jennings, McIver, Connor McDavid, the Selke. Weinhandel wins the Ted Lindsay, and the Rocket Richard for the third time in 5 years. Down in the AHL, did we have any individual awards? Cullen won Defenseman of the Year, which is pretty nice. Stu Crabb was the MVP of the playoffs, and again, how ridiculous is that? I can't do that justice. I'm honestly shocked by this. That North Bay managed to win. This is the first time, and probably the only time ever, that this will happen, where the AHL team won the whole damn thing before the NHL team. It's so unlikely in a series like this because all of your best players end up graduating, but it does go to show that we've drafted quite well. Now it's just a matter of getting the right pieces into place as we head into what will be somewhat of a new era. But hell of a way to start off this episode with North Bay winning the whole damn thing is Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, Tarasenko, Doughty. Hell of a retirement class here. Mantha retired around the same time. Hell of a career for Benn and Seguin, though. And again, this wasn't a fantasy draft, so they started off on the same team and eventually separated. Drew Doughty, 928 assists. Good Lord. Robin Leonard also calls it a career. You're welcome for revitalizing your career after, well, granted, that was in Vegas, but still, you're welcome, damn it. Just, every time I see Robin Leonard, I'm just like, boy, Swedish Nations United wasn't a fun time. So let's get down to business here, shall we? It is the draft. I'm going to take a look at the team. I can't promise I'm going to make any major changes, but there is one player where I'm kind of set in stone that they're going to be gone, and we'll not even end up with an extra draft pick out of the situation now. Fog of War is current. Oh my God, I forgot to turn Fog of War back on. Oh boy. Now's the time where I really have to reconsider starting this episode. Shit. Alright, at least you know that North Bay won. But I am going to have to restart this because I refused to cheat during the draft. So I'm going to auto-draft this. We're going to back out. I'm going to do this all live so that you can see there's no weird stuff going on. But this should bring me back to where I started this episode. Let's exit without saving. Damn it. Damn it. Now, admittedly, I can say I was off my game a little bit today. Almost didn't record this. Haven't been feeling that great throughout this weekend. But yeah, that's a little bit rough. So we're going to go back to this one right here. So North Bay may not win it, but at least you know in your heart that North Bay won the whole damn thing, okay? At least you know. That's the facts. North Bay, champions. But I refuse to leave Fog of War off for a draft. That's a step too far. Yeah, so whether or not North Bay wins or not, who the hell knows? It kind of sucks, though. But yeah, that's a step too far for me in a series like this to just be like, oh yeah, screw it, I'll leave it off. No, that goes right back on. We take it off for the postseason so we can see just how good the team is that we're going up against, thanks to the lack of our pro scouts. So, North Bay, we'll see if there's magically a repeat performance. I imagine all the award winners will be the same, with the exception of the MVP of the postseason awards, which I don't really care to check. It would be great, though, if North Bay wins again. They are advancing. You know what's weird, though, is I didn't see it. Did I just hit A through all of those alerts about the team moving on? I must have. I just completely zoned out and just steamrolled through those alerts. They are going to the championship again. I'm just going to leave it here because we won the first time through this sim method. Can North Bay win again? If they do, it might not be as magical as a reverse sweep against the Moose in the final, but still, I'll take it. Success would be great regardless. Moment of truth coming up. Tucson. Tucson wins at that time. All right, so because of my lack, I'm not going to call it a lack of paying attention. It's easy to forget when you've not turned something like that back on. That's why I didn't want to start doing it, but people wanted to see what was up with other teams in full. But that's my punishment, I guess, is that according to the record book, the North Bay Doolin Narwhals have never won anything, but we know in our hearts that it happened. It happened. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Let's get right back to the draft. A nice little 2-minute detour. And let's go back to where we were. So I don't mind kind of looking at our team, but it is what it is. Draft picks I'm not worried about. Goaltending. So, I mean, here's the thing, right? Goaltending next year is going to be Iliakis and Crab. We're going to let Saprikin go as an RFA and get the compensation for that. So we actually really don't even need another goalie in this draft. We'll take one if there is one, but AHL goaltending next year is going to be Fragapani and Åkerlund. Defensively, Niedermayer's going. We're going to let him walk, as we probably should have last year. I think we're also going to let Rokon walk. As much as that sucks, I think we're going to let Rokon leave as well. The former number 4 overall pick, it kind of sucks, but he's not a massive point getter, so he's not going to be worth the money. We're going to keep Zeeler and Fuller. In the meantime, Zeeler is consistently our best defenseman in terms of point totals. I mean, he's good for 30 to 40, so he's at least making it worth it, which means our defense this upcoming season will be Zeeler, Fuller, Pielstrom, Richter, and then probably Buka Boom with Hancock, but maybe Francois gets in there as well. Actually, but now that I look at it, it's probably going to be Buka Boom and Francois. So we're going to have a younger third pairing, but that might not be a bad thing necessarily. And in terms of anybody else that we have to get rid of defensively, we're fine. I mean, we don't have any other big contracts there. Of course, there are guys I'd like to get rid of, but, you know, we'll just end up not signing. Forward-wise, Redden, Fragapani, Ivanov. I don't know if now is the right time to get rid of Fragapani. I mean, Redden and Ivanov at least performed. Ivanov was tied for the point total in the playoffs. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. Those are the big 3 on this team as I try to fight off this sneeze. Unsuccessfully, mind you. Add that to the sneeze counter. That said, moving on, we take a look at Nazarov, as it took me a couple of seconds to get my bearings. You ever sneeze so hard that you just feel like you're going to pass out? Me either. Took me a couple of seconds to get back to... Nope. Alright, I think I'm good, maybe. It took me about a minute to get my bearings back, but I think we're okay. Moving on to Nazarov, who we will let go, more than likely as an RFA. Steve Krogh, we're probably just going to let walk. Kaliev will probably walk. There really isn't anybody we have to worry about. That Nylander contract might be of concern. I think the only guy that I'm really concerned about getting rid of here is Luke Baldwin, just because I don't want him to have time on this roster. If I do get rid of him, it'll be in the offseason. I want to see if it makes sense to have him on the AHL roster, or if it's just, worth trading him away to potentially develop somebody. So, as far as the roster's concerned, trading's really not going to be a factor. It's more of just letting guys go to free agency, as much as that sucks. So, let's get into this, shall we? We'll mark some of these. Jesus Christ, this draft is looking alright. This draft is looking okay at the high end. Is there anybody else? I'm just going to mark every single one of these players because this is ridiculous. And yes, a timeout is pretty much going to be required. My God. Kerslake. The Kerslake. The Yashins. Okay, I think we're finally good. So let's take a look at this crazy amount of pin players. Actually, I can just go right back to the scouting point. So we have Jalen Purinton, who is not confirmed. Probably is a defensive D-man. B's and C's, Chara comparison at only 6'3". Kretschmann, B's and C is not bad. Huberdeau comparison. Pakarainen. B's and C's as well. Dunham, B's and C's. Alos. Just to make sure I'm looking at the pinned players. An A, a B minus, and a couple of C's for Kip Alos. It's not that bad. Strombopoulos, that D in skating. Now, someone asked this on the Vegas episode. Just the D in skating. If we end up going into a situation, just in general, a low skating grade is going to drag down an overall rating. But if we go into a situation where we are watching the sim, right, like we do in overtime playoff games, someone with low skating, that's going to be fairly obvious and fairly detrimental, unfortunately. Oh, Asher Hackett, you were looking pretty good until that Leonard comparison popped up. That kind of ruined you. Reisner, B's and C's, like Latuviori, there's a chance he could develop out of it. I don't deny it, but I'd rather not take him over somebody else that I have a little bit more faith in terms of a skating grade. Boscheman is a gem. So there's no like true game changers here, just B's and C's pretty much across the board. Let me check out Esposito. Yeah, that D in skating. So I think we'll go to the top of the list. There was the goalie there, which again isn't an extreme need. A forward might be better. Purrington, Dunham, Alos, and then we know Hackett's at a medium elite. So let's take a look here. Our scout does have Purrington as the highest rated out of the group. Let's see, 2 B's, a couple of C minuses, more B's for Kretschmann, a C minus in skating. I think Kretschmann's the guy. Just based off of these grades, Alos isn't bad and does have that solid shot. He's only 17 as well, and he already has A shooting. I know the time's low, don't worry. For me, it comes down to Kretschmann, who could go to the AHL immediately, or Alos, who's 17 in junior but already has a great shot. And I think we're gonna go for Kip Alos. He might be low elite. I'm gonna go for Kretschmann. I'm gonna take the German. He's someone again who we could immediately put into the AHL. It's funny, that's actually who the AI ended up taking for me in the auto draft a couple of minutes ago. So that worked out pretty well. That'll be another move. I'm not gonna say I know how this one's gonna pan out. I don't. We'll see. Time will tell on that potential move, but I'm not going to say that was the right move. We shall see. Petrovitsky might be half decent. Kalle Gunderson, B's and C's, but a low 6. I'd rather aim higher with someone like Petrovitsky. Jalen Yandel, B's and C's, also listed as a gem. Basically confirmed low 4. Another confirmed low top 4. Another confirmed low top 4. And Zucker, who doesn't have that great of grades. What about Weston Zanata? And Edler, also kind of meh. Okay, so I think we're pretty much good in terms of who we already have pinned here. Tarnqvist has a really good shot for a defenseman. Might be worth the risk. And Tristan Finley might also be worth the risk. Alright, let's take a look at who we have pinned here. Let's take a look. Between these four, highest rated is Petrovitsky, 22 goals, 31 assists as an 18-year-old. Already has what looks to be an elite shot. We have Yandel, the defenseman. Well-rounded. I mean, not any more well-rounded. A little bit more well-rounded and is a gem. But might be closer to a low 4. If he's a medium 4, that's a really good pick. Tristan Finley. No guarantees we could trust that on how accurate it is, and we might get him later if he slides. And then Tarnqvist. I don't really know if we can go wrong here. The one thing that scares me about Yandel is that he's very close to being locked in at a low 4. So even as a gem, how much is that going to matter? You said, though, he is fairly well-rounded. They're all 18. Oh, it's a tough call. It'd be nice to get a defenseman. Like I said, if Yandel's medium 4, it would be great. And I'm going to take the risk just because he is a gem. If he is a gem, which he is, if he's a medium 4, that ends up being a pretty good pick for us. So we get a forward and a defenseman to start this draft. Third round, what do we got? What about Judry? Absolutely not. Parrish? Absolutely not. We have a low 6. I don't have as much faith in, especially with that D skating. Is there anybody else? Mahalik. Carl Mahalik? Absolutely not. Just not Not gonna happen. Couple of medium 9. Medium 6, Andre Wiseman is a ways away. Probably won't ever develop. He's gonna have such a low overall with the way skating, physicality, strength, body checking, and with the way defense, stick checking, defensive awareness is weighted. I don't know if he'll ever make it, but we could take the risk. There's also Brennan Doughty, who skating and defense is also a bit low, but might be a better bet than Wiseman, even though it's not confirmed. Bochenski, not a great option either. Ricci, Ralph Ricci. D- in skating, but medium elite. I'd have more faith in him. He's a grinder. So in terms of like an elite third liner, that's what we'd be looking at. It's the third round, so getting an elite third liner at this point isn't the worst. Yeah, I think that's our pick. I think that's our pick. Why the hell not? Wait, I was gonna say, like, wait a minute, wasn't he medium elite? He was. Ralph Ricci, the grinder. Let's go for it. Let's go for it. Let's give it a shot. Why the hell not? Especially at this stage in a draft, it really can't hurt to get a medium elite. Even though, of course, if you were in a normal franchise mode, that's the type of guy you just trade away because of his high value. But it's worth it for us. Willie Bochenski. I think didn't we look at you, or maybe not. I think there's just another Bochenski. So many Bochenskis. Hämäläinen, Timo Hämäläinen. Not great. Might still be worth it, though. This draft looks like it could have dried up a bit. Corey Selleck. Also, not quite a guarantee. Medium starter, Jean Daig. Absolutely not. Yeah, this draft is looking a hell of a lot weaker now, isn't it? Medium elite, Reed Tallickson. 6'5". Good shooting and physicality. Terrible skating. Like just a true defensive D-man who might have a higher ceiling. What about Tuomainen? Not bad either for this stage of the draft. I mean, unfortunately, there's no franchise goalie just sitting here for us this time out. That would be nice. Let's look at Rohan Clifford. They're all kind of in the same category of like, you might be half decent. Nathaniel Reitz, same thing. Really low overall. Okay, never mind. Never mind. Mateo Fox. Now, we do have Tristan Stanton, who can be added to that list. Mateo Fox, I mean, yeah. He's 20, which concerns me that he's going to have a very, very low overall. But it's worth the risk, to be honest. Beaufet? Louis Boba Fett isn't worth, might not be worth overlooking. There's a couple of guys in this draft. I mean, I'm going to take the franchise goalie for obvious reasons. Although, again, the odds of him developing probably quite slim. But it's worth the risk to us, especially when we're down to Len Iliakis in goal, who's not terrible, but certainly wasn't a game changer in the playoffs. Although it's not as if Brock Sestito was a game changer in the playoffs at any other time either. Tallickson is still there. Tuomainen's still there. Anybody else? Peltola. Clifford. Reitz is still on the board. Okay. Stanton's still there. So pretty much all of the other guys I was looking at are still there. So it looks like I could have waited, but, it's okay. I still feel like we've done all right with the top half of the draft. And then Shattenkirk as well. So I guess just let me go back up to the top of the list. We'll see who's there as far as who's worth the risk at this point, which Tallickson's the highest rated. Again, 6'5", though he's just going to be a true defensive D-man. Probably closer to a low elite. Tuomainen had 4 goals as a 20-year-old, and for a 20-year-old, a lot of his stats aren't as high as they need to be. So he's off the list. Peltola, 5 points as a 19-year-old. Not feeling that option either. What about Clifford? Rohan Clifford. He's 18. We'll take the risk here. Let's go for Rohan Clifford. He has time to develop and to improve that skating. Just put him with Barb Underhill, and she'll turn him into a champion, hopefully. 6th round. The warm-up to the main event of this episode, if we do end up making any of those big moves. Nathaniel Reitz as an 18-year-old could be worth it. There was Stanton. who at 20 is not going to be worth it, even if he has that high potential. Let's see, Boba Fett, not bad. I mean, he's a 20-year-old, though, so his grades should be higher. Swamainen, as a 20-year-old, grades need to be a bit more well-rounded. That's just not going to work out for us. So I think we take the guy at the top of the list, unless good old Vyacheslav Jas is decent, and he's not. So who was the dude at the top of the list? It was Nathaniel Reitz. He is the favorite right now. Let me look at Grossman, who's way the hell down there in terms of rating. Oh my god. Like, we're talking way the hell down there. I wanted to see if there are any high-rated guys, any gems left. The answer appears to be no. So we'll go with Nathaniel Reitz. Maybe he develops at some point. Not exactly holding my breath on that, but you never know. We've had some 6th and 7th round guys hang. We've had some 6th and 7th round guys hang around for a while. Easy for me to say. Is there anybody here in the 7th round who is worth it? So Jas is a 20-year-old. No, needs to be higher developed. Grossman, no. Enroth, 20-year-old, no. Rating's going to be too low. Darling, not looking good. Campolia is an 18-year-old, not looking good. Henry Shattenkirk. Physical and defense is nice. It's a 19-year-old. He might be my favorite thus far. Brad Malhi is not looking great. Not at all. A couple more C grades, I would have been tempted. A lot of these grades are pretty poor. Good census category, that's it. I think that guy we just pinned is going to be the best option here. There's a Sebastian Aho. We could have the 3rd Aho in the league and a Howard Foote. All right, I think we have our guy. It's going to be Henry Shattenkirk. Good old Henry Shattenkirk. So, a couple of defensemen, a couple of forwards, and a franchise goalie who probably won't develop. But there we go, our 7 picks. I wonder how similar that list is to what the auto draft was. Aside from the fact that I know the AI selected Kretschmann, which is pretty funny that we ended up taking him too, as all of my scouts are looking to leave. Everyone's looking to jump off the Titanic here. They know what's coming. They know they have their work cut out for them in the next few years because we are, in some ways, stepping into a more rebuilding role. We're still going to be competitive, though, right? I mean, you can look at the roster. Unless we were to literally get rid of everybody, we're going to be competitive no matter what. So I'm good with that. And hopefully these guys are too by staying. Hopefully, maybe, hopefully. So let's go ahead and sign everybody up. Oh my god. Why did so many of their contracts expire at the same time? Damn it. Damn it all. Okay, there we go. We are good. I still need to hire one other scout, too. I forgot about that. So here we go. The re-sign phase. We get into the real main event. This is going to be painful, but it must be done. So goalie-wise, Saprikin is going to be qualified. We're going to let him walk. We are going to sign Stu Crab. Might be worth signing him. Oh boy. Okay, yeah, if we jump up to 2 years. Okay. You know, we'll sign him for cheap for the moment. Yeah, we'll sign him for cheap for the moment. We'll give him what he wants. And from there, it's going to be Åkerlund that gets signed. Fox can still develop while not being signed. So we know that Åkerlund's more of a guarantee. And we'll go ahead and sign him up. So again, it'll be Iliakis, Crab, Fragapani, and Åkerlund. If Saprikin takes that offer, we're pretty much resigning to the fact that we're trading him away to some random team that needs a goalie, if I decide to be that nice. Defenseman, end of an era. He nearly left last year. He's going to leave this year. Josiah Niedermeyer, the 1st round pick, 4th overall in 2019. He is on the way out. It has to happen. Last year, he played like the guy we needed him to be. This year, he wasn't quite as good, and then he completely no-showed in the playoffs. So, we cannot afford to pay him $13 to $15 million to keep him. We just can't. We just can't. I mean, we can, but is it going to be the brightest move? No, it's not. So Josiah Niedermeyer, hate to say it, you're gone. And Anthony Rokon as well, who was his, was the guy on the right-hand side for him for many years. His pairing mate, 4th overall the very next year. And I think he's gone as well. 20 to 30 points, had a 42-point season, never a big postseason point producer. I'm not sure what he's looking for, but I know we're not going to sign him to it. And the fact he doesn't want to sign, that's $11 million, $12 million to convince him. He's gone. He has to be. That sucks. So again, defensively right now, we're shaping up with Fuller, Zieler, Pielstrom, Richter will be re-signed. And we'll see if we can get him. I might just, you know what? I think we are going to try and invest in him long term. I think we'll just commit to him with the 8-year deal. It doesn't hurt us, considering, again, we could just drop him if we wanted to. As I just try to find yield calculator app. There we go. Alright, so if I go 8 years and we drop that down with the 85%, $4.9 million for the next 8 years. I'll take that. I'll take that, depending on how others develop. I mean, now is the right time to try and sign, him long term and just go for it. Now, in the past, in NHL, it was pretty much undisputed that if you tried to sign a veteran or a prospect like this long term, that it would completely stunt their development. We're going to find out with Richter if that's the case. Now, for guys like Fuller, it clearly wasn't the case because we signed him to one of those deals right around the same money total. So, I'm a little bit more confident in a move like that. So that's our top 4. And I think between Bukaboom, Francois, and Francois, that those are our guys. We still need to sign Francois. Technically, we wouldn't have to sign him this year, former 3rd-round pick. But it would be for the best to get him, at the very least, into the AHL. Which means Cullen... What's Cullen looking for? $3 million? It's not bad. He's not going to get any better. I mean, at low elite, there's an outside chance of it, I suppose, but he's not going to be good enough. And again, he's someone who's a little bit knocked down by that poor skating. Otherwise, he's not that bad, but it's just that skating that ruins him, really. It's pretty disappointing. It's pretty disappointing. I mean, in the AHL, he's been capable of putting up points. There's no denying that. But, I don't know. It's a tough call as far as who we want to sign here. So, if we don't re-sign Richter, and we go, let's say, or if we don't re-sign Cullen, obviously we're re-signing Richter. Say we have Bukaboom and Francois at the NHL level. So the AHL would be Hancock, Holmberg, Bannister, Saugus. Perrant's going to be dropped for obvious reasons. He was a 4th-round pick in 2029, but at a low 6 he can go. Pandolfo as well, who looks like a beast in terms of where he's been playing. But yeah, former 7th-round pick, he's not going to make it either. So let's see, we do have Blatney signed, which kind of sucks. So again, the AHL would be Hancock, Holmberg, Bannister, Saugus, Blatney. We don't have to sign Reach, Shattenkirk, or Yandel yet. We can just let them develop while being unsigned, unless we see that their overalls are really high. So, we do have room for one more, which means we could just sign Cullen, see how good Francois is. If he's not quite ready for NHL time, then we just play Cullen for the season until Francois is ready. So, I think Cullen's going to stay. Well, then again, in fairness, like, you have Bannister, who isn't worth keeping because he's not going to get any better. He's worth keeping to make the Doolin Narwhals a little bit better, but we're still probably going to drop him. Yandel is Canadian and can't be signed. Shattenkirk, yeah, all 3 of them are Canadian anyway. So Bannister will be signed only for a year, and we'll look to cut him after this year. Same thing for Holmberg and Hancock. We'll only sign them for a year. We'll see if they get that much better. If they do, they could potentially make space into the bottom or the 3rd pairing. On defense, probably not going to happen. let's go ahead and sign Francois. And we'll also look to bring back Cullen. Just kind of makes sense. Try to get him from 1 year. As an RFA, he's willing to sign for cheap. I'm not worried about getting him onto a big-time deal because there's no point. He's not going to get any better. So I could drop it down to about 2.7. Let's see if 2.8 works. 2.8 for 1 year, and we'll see what he thinks. Forward-wise, Vita Luoma, how much are you looking for? $4 million. Right. All right, you're 24, so you're going to cap out at an 83 at best. He is a prolific point producer in the AHL. Completely unproven at the NHL level, but if you look at those attributes, what he should be capable of offensively. Now, I know he doesn't solve the issue of, oh, you don't have people who can score goals, but maybe that opens up space. I'll consider bringing him back. This is where it's tough, forward-wise, because there's just so much. I think Nazarov's going to go. Yeah, I mean, he's looking for $8 million. I don't think we can bring him back. 58 points last year. I don't think we can. I don't think we can. We almost let him go last year. We will let him go this year. We won't repeat that mistake. Krog, I'm sorry. I mean, again, for Nazarov, former 7th-round pick, so he did really well, but we're going to get some good compensation for that. Krog, I think it's finally an end of an era, buddy. 40 to 50 point seasons. I mean, in the playoffs, 7 goals on the cup run, but I think your time's come. Former 2nd-round pick in 2022. I think we need a change. He's not looking for that much, but we need a change. He's very well-rounded. It's a tough call, though. For a bottom 6 role, 30 points isn't that bad. And then Kaliev, of course, was just, like, he's gone. Like, he went from 41 points to 20 points. I mean, not bad for a potential bottom 6 guy if we kind of change up what we expect of him. I mean, if we look at this team right now, right? So right there, if we take out Nazarov at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 with Clements. And then we have a couple of other guys signed as well. We can let go of Dietz. Good old Dallas Dietz, former 6th-round pick. Can let go of him for obvious reasons. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to sort out this roster. Jang or Yang doesn't have to be signed yet. Svoboda is 24. You got Roenick at 26, who just never made it. And then, of course, there's the chance of a massive changing of the guard here. So, Vita Luoma, I think we will give the opportunity to at the NHL level. We'll be able to sign him for relatively cheap, hopefully. Maybe that's a good sign that the longer we try to sign him for, the more money he's looking for. I'll give him the term that he wants, but we'll just try to drop that down to $4 million even. For the hell of it, that $600K could come in handy at some point, as, I mean, I don't think I need to explain why, it's still worth it to mind the cap space situation when, that's why we lost Brock Sestito, was because of the cap space situation. From there, Hossa, yeah. The NHL level, even in the 4th line sense, it's just not enough. Over the past 2 seasons. He's 25, he's not going to get any better. Former 2nd-round pick. He's fairly well-rounded. He's actually very well-rounded for a bottom 6 guy, but the point production just isn't where you need it to be, even for a 4th liner. Again, close to 20 points is what I hope for. 15 and 17, when I've had players who are weaker than him offensively hit over 20. I'm sorry, but Hossa is gone. Aiden Gray, 26 years old at this point. 20 to 30 points since he's joined the NHL. Former 6th-round pick. He might stay. He might. Kurt Eddy, who I know a lot of people are tired of, and I think for good reason. I think he's going to be on the way out too. Former 3rd-round pick. Again, you look at that shot. It's just a shame that having him as a power forward previously and having him on the 3rd line where he's had a chance to put up some offensive numbers, he just never did. Kurt Eddy's gone. Soro will definitely be staying. Well, but that potential, maybe not. What are you looking for money-wise? Yeah, I mean, we're not going to get any compensation for you. 38 points, former second-round pick. We'll keep him around. There's a chance of him getting a little bit better. And just for the hell of it, just to be uniform, I'm going to sit here and try to save a little bit of money to make myself feel a little bit better about the move. Is it necessary? Fuck no. Do I want to do it? Yeah, so I did. Jean-Francois, former fourth-round pick, major point getter at the AHL level, probably deserves another chance to stay on this team and make it at the NHL level. He is not going to be commanding the most money in the world. I am going to sign him to just a one-year deal. We'll give him what he's asking for, but that way we can get out from under that deal if we have to. Joel Roenick, another interesting one. Massive point getter at the AHL level, but he's not going to get any better. But if you look at the offensive awareness and shooting category, he might be able to do something at the NHL level. It's kind of a tough one. I think what we'll do here, Nazarov's already qualified. We might... I still feel like Krog and Kaliev have their place on the team. I really do. But it's time for a new beginning. Krog and Kaliev, or Kaliev, as I've been told, or as I've heard lately, they're both gone. We're just going to move on, try to bring it into a new era. And for that reason as well, I think Aiden Gray is going to be on his way out. Not bad as a bottom six option, but we're just going to go with new blood. We're going to go with new blood at this point. So we'll still have Redden, Fragapani, and Ivanov, but the talent level around them will be younger, less experienced, and just in general weaker, which might not be that much of a bad thing, especially if we have it 1C, 2C, 3C, or even Ivanov as the 2C. That might not be the worst idea to kind of spread the wealth with their talent and have each of them be the focal point of their given lines. It's not the worst idea in the world. So again, we have 7 with Baldwin, which I gotta be honest, I can't trade him right now, but Baldwin's actually, can I trade him right now? Or no, it's still shut down, isn't it? Yeah, it's still shut down. Baldwin's gonna be traded. Baldwin's gonna be one of those guys that we just ditch a 7th round pick for to get rid of him. It's not worth keeping him at this point. So we have our 3, our 4, 5, 6, 7 with Soro, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 with Moroz. That's not the worst setup. Or we could ditch one of them. Now, Roenick didn't want to come back last year. He's also not going to get better. So I think we ditch Roenick, sign Zhang, and we're good to go. So, Roenick, you also don't want to come back now. You're on the way out. We will sign, what is your first name, pal? Friend of mine, Henry Yang. I imagine it would be a former first-round pick. So, we'll sign him up. We'll sign him up. He should be at the NHL level this year. And then Svoboda at a one-year deal, and we should be fine. So, let's sim forward a day as this roster starts to take shape. Obviously, with just the scope of this episode, we are going to have to, have any simming set for the next episode, which is fine. I mean, obviously, the days in this series of, calendar year to year is over and has been, as everybody is signing except Vita Luoma, which is fine. Everybody else signed, which is good, including Richter on that 8-year deal. So, goaltending-wise, again, hopefully Saprikin is on the way out. Defensively, we have our 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're good on that front. Even if Blatney never develops, we have our 12 at least for this season. And forward-wise, we have our 3, 4, 5, hopefully 6. I think we're good. We just need to sign Vita Luoma, which I could just sign him to what he wants and make it easy, which, you know what? Give me a slight discount, buddy. Make me feel better about this. And everybody else signed. So I think we're looking okay, given the circumstances. Right now, obviously, what happens next in this series is so dependent on the development of these prospects, as Vita Luoma has signed. Let me double check the forward situation again. So we have our 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Those will be the 12 at the NHL level. So then down in the AHL, we have our 8 with Ivani, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we do have to sign 4 forwards, which isn't that big of a deal. So Nylander's 20. I mean, the highest rated are these two. Kretschmann's German and can be signed. Let me just count that out again to make sure. So again, yeah, Jang was there. So that's 8. Yep, so we do need 4 more. So we're going to sign Kretschmann, who can go straight into the AHL, probably on the top line. Ricci is American. We'll sign him, with him having the best potential at this point, or just in general. And then we need 2 out of this group. Canadian, American, American, Swede. Right, we'll sign the 20-year-old Nylander. And, I mean, it's between Melnyk and Pinot. We're going to sign Pinot, obviously. He's the higher rated of the group. And with that, we are good to go. As long as we get the Baldwin deal done, and as long as we get that compensation plan done, Pinot, Kretschmann, Nylander, Ricci have all signed. So one last look over, but I do think we're good. Like I said, I'll be intrigued to see what happens here with Nazarov and what happens with Saprikin and how much compensation we do get for the 2. But let's do it. To free agency we go. Not much to do aside from signing a couple of veterans just to take up a roster spot. Let me get the Baldwin deal done just to get him off of the roster before we forget. And the funny thing is, cap space-wise, I mean, we got $33 million. If players develop like we need them to, that's going to change fairly quickly, especially if we start missing, the postseason, which I wouldn't be surprised. Let me sort this by name. Baldwin. So, again, someone else who crazy good puck skills category, but for some reason puts up more goals than assists. Never really makes sense, does it? It's just how the game works sometimes. So here's what I mean by this type of deal, just to get him off the team. We're going to find a club that's interested in Baldwin, like the Buffalo Sabres, and we are just going to swap 7th round picks, and you can take him for nothing. That's the deal. So there we go. Baldwin is gone. Hate to say it, but he had to go, and we are pretty much good to go. I'm going to hit sim to next season. We're going to wait to see what happens here with our RFAs. And Saprikin has been offer sheeted. $5.2 million for 2 years. The Avalanche. We're going to get a 2nd round pick in return. It just makes sense to take it. I wish we had been, been given more back, but it makes sense to ditch him now. So Saprikin is going to be on the way out. He was our better goalie last year. Former 6th round pick that we turned a 6th round pick into a 6th round pick into a 2nd round pick. I'm not upset about that. Saprikin is gone, and now we wait for the big-time money move, which I'm very worried isn't going to go through. I'm very worried he's going to come back for nothing, that being Nazarov, and we're going to have to ditch him for a 7th like we just did with Baldwin. The longer this goes on with him being unsigned, I swear it's going to pop up that he's just going to take our offer, and that sucks. This is pretty much, I mean, I could keep him for next year. I knew it. Let's sim to the preseason, and I will leave that decision up to you guys at the end of the video as far as whether or not we keep him. The little annotation or whatever in the top right-hand corner of the screen, there will be a poll. You can vote on it now if you want to, or you can wait if you want the thing to pop up at the end of the video when I remember to add it. But yeah, that'll be up to you guys as far as what happens with Nazarov. We'll see what the team looks like. We could keep him for the season, or we could just get rid of him for the 7th and get rid of him. And I mean, because here's the thing, I don't think he's going to be an RFA next year. So, like, we have the choice of keeping him or just ditching him, and I think it's probably for the best to just ditch him. As I'm going to sign Landeskog to a $23 million deal, and that's all we need to do. So let's get to the preseason. See what this roster is going to look like. I need to go out and sign one more scout as well before I forget. I knew he was going to come back, and that really sucks. That really sucks. Carolyn Quick, you're just the best scout available. I'll sign you. I don't even know if you're the one that we need, but we'll sign you up for now, and I'll rework the scouts before the next episode. So, to the next season we go. Carolyn is signed. I'm going to be very intrigued to see what our roster looks like. Landeskog... Okay. Glad to know that glitch is still there, where you offer someone too much money, that it registers as you offering them basically nothing, and they decline. That's exactly what that is. That's been in for years. It's you get so far into a series that the numbers essentially reset. I think it's like 22 or like 21.5 million, and the game just forgets what the hell to do. So we'll see if that works. He should take that. But yeah, I'm glad to know that's still in the game. That would be nice for them to sort that out. I mean, granted, I guess you can't really expect anybody to sign someone to a $20 million per year deal, unless it is a series like this. But, you know, I exist, and I test these things. So, make the change. Cater to me, damn it. Just to me. Cater to me, and only to me. But, yeah, I'm very nervous here for what we're going to be looking like, what this roster is going to look like, and what we're going to be doing with Nazarov. Now, I am going to turn off Fog of War, just so we can get an exact look. I'm not going to look at trade values or anything like that. The only reason I want to look at Fog of War is just so that we know, right? Otherwise, whoops, I just turned off autosave. Otherwise, you know, we'd be sitting here and it'd be like, okay, well, give me 5 minutes to sim 3 weeks into the season so that we can get the update, stuff like that. Screw it, let's just cut that corner, turn it off for the moment. Again, I do like to leave it off for the draft, but let's see what we're looking like here. So goalies, Iliakis is an 86, Crab is an 82. Down in the AHL for Agapati and Ackerland, we're looking good in terms of goaltending. Defensively, Zieler, Fuller, Pielstrom, Richter, Cullen, and Bokaboom. Francois as a depth defenseman, as is Holmberg. We'll probably just send down Francois to start the season, and we'll let him and Holmberg just rip that league to shreds. So I think that's sorted. And then forward-wise, if we send down Nazarov, just for the moment, so we have our 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 with Jang, or Yang, I think it's Yang. So this team honestly isn't looking that bad without Nazarov. Aside from the fact that Ivanov is somehow still a second-line guy, let's look at this team if we go best lines. So I still don't hate the idea of, I mean, we have options, right? We could do, you know, every member of this top line right now having their own line. We could unite them, which has been a bit controversial in the past. I mean, second liners in the second line spot, which doesn't always help, but in terms of, when we did a test, anybody on Twitch who watched the Little Giants test run that we did, long story short, we did a fantasy draft in franchise. We took the shortest players, 5'11" and under, and we ended up with a dumb team. Just dumb. Players who were AHL caliber. We had fourth line players playing on the top line. It was pretty dumb. We won the cup in year one. So player roles only mean so much when it comes to, oh, well, that means that's how good the player is going to develop or how well they're going to perform. Not necessarily. Because at the end of the day, it is a very RNG, random-based sim in franchise. But just looking at this team, it's not that bad. Let me take a look. Let me take a look at what Nazarov and his situation is. So he's in the system. He would still be, oh man, he'd still be an RFA. 1 year, $6 million. Well, I don't even know if we need a poll now. I feel like that decision's obvious. What do you guys think? Do we just ditch him, or do we keep him for the season and then try again next year with him being an RFA? I have a feeling that latter option is going to win out. The question is, do we just play him down in the AHL to let him destroy worlds, or do we play him at the NHL level, probably for Cox, who's listed as a depth forward right now, Granted, he is 22 in low elite, so I don't know. What do you guys think? In terms of line combos, I'll just get you guys a look at the attributes again. We could go with the idea. I might change up some player types as well just to prioritize it or optimize it. We could go with Fragapani, Redden, and Ivanov on their own lines. I'm intrigued to see what Nylander could do. Not the worst sniper in the world. Could also be a two-way. You get a look at Ben McCauley at this point. Vita Luoma. Soro developed a little bit. Svoboda, Moroz, Gregory Cox, Henry Yang, Yang Jiang, and Jean-Francois. The team's still looking good. I know we were listed as contenders. I'm optimistic about how well we could do this season. I honestly don't think, again, we're not going to be a bad team. It's just a matter of line combinations and what do we do with Sergei Nazarov. So that'll do it for this one. To keep it under an hour, hopefully. It'll be just about. But to keep this under an hour, you know the deal. Suggestions in the comments down below as far as what the hell to do in terms of line combos. Vote in the poll. You can also comment on it down below as far as what we look to do with Nazarov. And just anything else. Let me know. Comments. Random feedback. Compliments, hopefully. Critiques, anything. Or, highs. Who knows, maybe you're even first, because apparently it's still 2012 on the internet. Check out everything in the description, of course, all that stuff there. Make sure you support the video, because apparently, the way YouTube works, it's not enough to be subscribed. It's not enough to, leave a like. No, they want you to do everything. It's like, oh, well, okay, he subbed to the guy, he has notifications on, but he didn't like and comment on the video, so maybe we won't show him this upload, because that's what YouTube does. But just know, I'm here pretty much every goddamn day, even today, where I don't feel that great, because why the hell not? Why not? You're worth it. Damn it. I don't know how to end this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.